has a mind of its own occasionally. But I'm Muslim. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Best thing that ever happened to me. And whenever something goes wrong, or I think it goes wrong, or I need reassurance or comfort, I always comfort myself with Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasulullah. And whatever it was, it just disintegrates. So, in addition to all of the other things, I think the main truth that I've discovered in my life thus far, other than Islam, something that just pertains to me personally, is the fact that I discovered I don't have the same parents as someone who was represented to me as having the same parents, which just, I'm still, fully realizing, because it explains so much, it's exactly like the female version of Boys in the Hood. Ricky was his mother's favorite. Cube, younger, or I don't know if he's younger or whatever. I'm thinking he's younger because the world has women acting like men. And a lot of men think that, conquest of women is something that makes them a man. But as they age or change, they're not able to pull the same caliber as they were, So, from my understanding, the dark, dark is the most preferred. So, Ricky is darker than Cube, and my half sister is darker than I am. So, Christianity makes people so ignorant. Vanessa, her mother, was able to fool everybody into thinking that the man she married, she was already pregnant, was the father of her child. She's 2 shades darker than both of them. How is that possible? It's not. It's impossible. There's a hidden hand that takes some consciousness to realize and understand that my whole life was built on a lie. Another lie, in addition to the big lie of Christianity. But, so how can I have any type of knowledge of self when I'm born into a lie that's been 4 years by the time I come along, and I used to content myself with the fact that, okay, I was planned, but why did it take so long? 4 years later, you decide to have another child. Why? Because the first one was by another man. And now she feels confident or secure enough in her lie to add another person into her life, me. And all my life, I never understood why she never had enough for the things that I wanted. You know, can I get this? Can I get this? Can I do this? Can I do that? All I ever got from her was no, 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 no. I stopped asking because I knew the answer was gonna be. So now I know why, which is gratifying to have an explanation because I had suffered from mental disorder, mental disability because of this, so anyway, one day I just asked her, how come you never liked me? That's what I asked her. And she just looked at me. She didn't answer. And I just left, walked away because some people, that's my story and I'm sticking to it. That's my lie. And my world is gonna fall apart if I confess. So, yeah. So I realized that I was a good writer in first grade, maybe first or second. I think first grade. Yeah, it wasn't kindergarten, it was first grade. My teacher kept my Mother's Day poem, told me she lost it. Write another one. I was 5 years old. But I knew, because I knew it was good, but she loved me. I used to catch so much hell from the other students in the class at recess. Teacher's pet, teacher's pet, teacher's pet. I used to go back in the classroom with the teacher because I was being tormented on the playground. And my only solace was back with this teacher. So yeah, when I was taken out of that school where they loved me, again because my half sister graduated, so I had to leave the school also. I don't understand why she couldn't drop me off and drop her off at two different schools, but I had to change schools so many times. I'm like the new girl all the time. So I was in the fourth grade. I was a year younger because she put me in school early, get away from her. And I don't know if you watch children or know the dynamics of children groups. The youngest one is always not wanted. The parents are like, oh, she's so cute, inviting me to their children's birthday party, and the children hate me. I don't want you here. I'm going to be mean to you. when my mother's not watching, and it's just like that for the youngest. So that's what I had to endure when I was in school. But this class, I'm the new girl. We had a list of school supplies, and one of them was a composition book. And this is new to me, a composition book. And I think that's, I learned how to write in cursive in her class, and the teacher, everybody in that class has beautiful penmanship. Beautiful. Everybody in that class. Plus, I was left-handed, so I caught flack for that. But a teacher didn't like me, but I really, fourth grade, I don't know what it is about fourth grade, but I got my first diary when I was in the fourth grade. 8 years old, 1979, I began journaling, keeping a diary, whatever you want to call it. So, when I'm in high school, my parents start having issues, My father's sleeping on the couch for some reason. I asked him. He said it's too hot or something in the room, because in the summertime I don't know, they had air conditioning, so I don't know. But next thing I know, he moves out completely. But before he goes, he comes to tell me I'm leaving because I read what you wrote in your diary. And I haven't been the same ever since. It's like I cannot ever keep a diary like I used to. Whoa. So I'm gonna just go ahead. I'm like so beyond caring, or at least I thought I was. But we are not supposed to show our emotions in public, and it's like I'm homeless, you know what I mean? So I feel like the rules don't apply to me, So I remember seeing an episode of Gidget, and her family read her diary and she started crying, and I thought that was interesting because I didn't cry. I'm black, so I don't think I've ever cried about it, but I'm crying now. And maybe I'll be able to write truthfully again, like before. Maybe sometimes that happens, like catharsis. I had nervous breakdown at 25. And my doctor, he's like famous. And whenever I needed like proof that I'll, have a diagnosis, I used to get really like sensitive and self-conscious or whatever, but he wrote I had everything: schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, manic depressive, everything you could think of. I'm like, Lord, heaven and earth. Do you have to paint such a negative picture like that? But I've had other people do that too in court. I'm always, you know, being so political, they, anything, any kind of problem, they're quick to put me in jail. And the public defender told the judge she's homeless. She can't keep appointments. And I was like, but the messengers told us don't feel bad because the Bible refers to us as fools, foolish. You know, we're not the prudent, wise ones. We've been made fools, turned into fools. Vanessa got away, still getting away. Had a black baby. Both of the parents are lighter than I am now. It took me a while to get darker. I don't, like today this baby was crying and I said, pick that baby up, because I could tell baby difference in babies crying. And that baby was just frustrated. So I said, pick her up. The father said, she's teething. I don't know where the mother was. Maybe she went to the bathroom or something. But I said, pick her up anyway. Give her a hug. Oh, that might work. She might forget or something. Babies. But then I remember somebody in New Orleans told me if you take a dime and get a nail and a hammer and make a hole in the middle of the dime and then tie a black string or something through the dime and put it on the baby's neck, it'll help with the teething. So I brought that up. I said, oh, get a dime and make a hole. And he was like, yeah, I know. I was like, you heard of that? He said, yes. So I was like, well, do it. You know what I'm saying? You know the baby's teething. This is not the first time you knew. Before I met you, you knew already. How come it's not on the baby's neck? Some Christians be so retarded. You know what to do it. If you knew better, you would do better. The baby's suffering because the parents are Christians. So I said, okay, I'm crocheting. I got black, of course. I always got a dime because I like dimes. That's starting to be one of my favorite numbers, 10. If in charity, sometimes I'll give it 20 so I can keep my 10, Seriously, if I got some bills, I'd rather give you, here, take the 20 so I can keep my 10. But, journaling. It's like, deep down, I have a, subconscious fear, or whatever you want to call it. I don't take it as seriously as I used to, It's like sometimes I just make up stuff, and sometimes I won't write what I really want to write because of that breach of trust. parents, I don't know, maybe they feel like I'm the parent, so I can do whatever I want to do to you. And then when your child gets older, you asking other people if she forgave you. Don't you think you would know? I mean, people don't really know how that process works. I wrote about it. First, you have to apologize. If you really want to be forgiven, people, Christianity make people so ignorant. They expect after a long time you're supposed to be okay with it, But I'm Muslim, and I think logically, what's changed? Nothing. It's just been a long time. If anything, it's worse. You more set in your ways. So I made a blog. I have a website for prevention of illness, and mental illness is trending right now. It's like physical, we kind of got that. People are eating much healthier, and the messenger said we only need doctors for accidents and broken bones and things like that. But health wise, like your heart and your digestion and all that, you won't need it because you're eating right. So you don't have heart problems and high blood pressure and that type of thing is caused by what you eat, and we're eating better. But the mentality, the mental, psychological, nerves, and all that is maybe the last step, because when you start eating right, you start thinking clearer, and to realize the truth of what is really going on causes mental nervous breakdowns. And that's seriously what's going on right now. Every Muslim I know, gets thrown out of the house. I call it a Hajj. You have to leave. Hijrah. Just like Prophet Muhammad and his followers were thrown out of Mecca and established Medina. And eventually they went and conquered all of the wickedness and filth in Mecca. And now it's back to how it was in the time of Prophet Ibrahim. But my website, I posted on the preventative nurse how to ask someone to forgive you. If you're really serious, I hear people say, forgive me. How could you even be so audacious to speak to me after what you've done? And sometimes people apologize and I don't even know what they've done. How can I forgive you if I don't know what you've done? So, let me know. Tell me. I'm sorry I did thus, thus, and thus. I'm sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry I did that. I'm asking Allah, I'm praying, Allah help me so I never do that again. I'm going to do my best to never ever repeat. I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me. 3 steps, 3 things you have to do. 1, confess. 2, try to convince. 3, ask for forgiveness. But you gotta do 1 and 2 first if you really want me to forgive you. How can I forgive you if you haven't apologized? That lets me know you don't mean it. You have to apologize. I'm sorry. I haven't been able to sleep. I apologize. I feel bad about what I did. I am penitent. I am repenting. I admit what I did and I'm apologizing. I'm going to try and do my best not to do it again. You know, some things you can be like, I'm not going to do it again. Other times, like abuse, that's what, you know, a lot of times in relationships, infidelity, you know, those type of things you gotta ask, you know, or tell me you asking Allah to help you with it, because on your own you already lost that trust that you had. You already betrayed the trust that you had. You know, so I can't just believe you again. I believed you already and you betrayed my trust. So I'm not gonna do that again. First time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. You already proved it. Prove your weakness. You're not able to do what you're telling me you're not going to do again, because that's what was supposed to happen the first time. And now you're telling me that you're sorry for doing something that you shouldn't have done. Okay, you're sorry. You apologize. I hope that makes you feel better. Those have I. That probably, it should make you feel better because you confessed it. So, you know, but you can do more. Tell me you're not gonna do it again. That would make me feel a little bit better, you know. Or I could just cut you off completely. I don't want nothing to do with you. Nothing. That's how I am. I don't want to go through hurt and disappointment and betrayal twice. If I forgive you, that's opening the door for you to do it again, for you to repeat it. If you at least tell me you're going to try not to, I'm probably still not gonna mess with you anymore, you know, but still try not to do it. You know what I mean? It's good for you to try not to do it again. I'm hoping you forget I exist. That's how I feel. Forget you ever knew me. Go on about your life. The world is big. It's a lot of other people. A lot of things that you could be doing. Go do it. Forget me. Forget you ever knew me. And then you can ask me to forgive you. After you tell me you're going to try not to do it again, then you can ask me to forgive you. And maybe, you know what I mean? You got a better chance if you do those first 2, you know? Do it the right way and you might be more successful, you know? Because deep down, I would love to forgive you. You know, no one wants to harbor people that they cut off and all that stuff because it leaves a hole, or, a space, a void where you once were carefree. You didn't have that care. You were free of that type of feeling. But this horrible noise is getting on my nerves. So, assalamu alaikum, it's Maghrib anyway. Wahid.